Hi guys, Ruth here, and I'm just doing a follow-up to my previous labyrinth video. This one is how to double crochet using two different coloured yarns. The reason that I want to show you how to do this is that if you were interested in making your own labyrinth rug or blanket like I did, this is the technique that I used. Once you know how to do this, you can literally just crochet backwards and forwards, just filling in the gaps of colour as you need to, following your labyrinth drawing that you did last time, to create your own labyrinth rug or blanket. So yep, here's one I made earlier. This is the blanket version that I've done. I'm not sure if you can see that there. So yeah, and this was done using just this crocheting technique, where you just swap out your colours as you go. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy it. Any questions, just pop them down in the comment section below, and if you're not subscribed already, then please just click on that subscribe button and that bell icon so you know when the new videos are coming out. And big hello to my 27 subscribers, very excited that it's gone up to 27. I don't think I know that many people, so some of you out there who are subscribed, I don't know you, so hi, it's great to have you. Hope you enjoy the video. So we're going to start off. I'm using some nice blue yarn here. Let me just take it off the hook. So nice, I call it bootleg. It's fluffy blue wool. And what we're going to do, start off, as I start off all my crochet, I start with a slip knot. So, not the band. What we're going to do is just take your yarn, and I put both bits in my left hand, and create a loop, and then just turn over the loop so that the yarn crosses over the top there. See, that's my end in my left hand, my right hand is just holding on to that loop. What I'm going to do, see how the yarn goes over the top there, I'm going to reach through the loop and I'm going to grab the other side of the yarn and I'm going to pull it back through. That gives us a nice slip knot there. Now this is going to go onto our hook, and then we just pull the long bit of yarn there just to tighten it. The hook I'm using at the moment is one that I've made myself. It's a 16mm hardwood crochet hook, and I tend to crochet and knit with larger size knitting needles and crochet hooks, all of which are available on the website or in the shop. And for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by creating a chain. I'm just going to be showing you the technique, so I'm not following a particular pattern. I'm just going to cast on 10 stitches. So I'm just going to pop my yarn round and over the top there, pull it through and count that as 1, 2, please excuse the noise in the background, 3, 4, 5, 6, notice how I'm turning 7, the hook as I work, 8, the reason I'm doing this, 9, is because it is so much easier to get this part through the bottom part of your loop. So once you've got your yarn over the top there of your hook, if you twist it, this part here catches this yarn and holds it in place, and then you just have to guide this point through that loop there. 10. So created there a chain of 10. Now, thing with the crocheting, so that we can get a nice finished edge and we don't undo the stitch we've just done, we're going to do an extra stitch. There we go, taking us up to 11. So now we've got our 11 stitches. Ignore the last one you did. Number 11, we're just ignoring it. That doesn't count. It hasn't been done. So we're going to go back and we're going to start on our 10th stitch here, and we're going to be working backwards and forwards up and down our row. So ignore number 11, go back into number 10, pop the point of your hook through your loop there. See, it's quite an open loop. We don't want to pull anything too tight, we want to keep it nice and loose when you're working big, just so you've got enough room to put your hook through. So see, I'm just putting the hook through that loop and I'm holding the long bit of yarn there between my fingers, not wrapping it around anything. You'll find that if you wrap around and just tension your yarn too much, it's too tight, you'll have trouble getting your hook through. So just nice and loose. I'm just pinching it between my fingers. I'm going to catch this piece of yarn here with the hook, twist it slightly, bring it through. Now what that means is you've got 2 loops on your hook. What I'm going to do now is just bring the yarn round the hook from behind, twist the hook to hold it in place, and pull the hook through 2. There you go, and that's our first double crochet. So now the trickiest part with this is finding where your next stitch is going to be. So if in doubt, just make sure that your chain is nice and straight. You don't want it twisted up because you'll end up with a wavy bottom. Nobody wants a wavy bottom. So what we're going to do is make sure it's nice and flat, and just feel along, and you'll feel the next hole along is that one there. If you need to, use your finger or your thumb just to pop it through the loop, just so that you've got it a bit bigger so you can get your hook through. So I'm just putting my finger here. I'm going to put the point of the hook just against my finger and pop it through there. There we go. And again, yarn goes over the top, so I'm always coming from the back to the front here. Twist your hook slightly, pull it through. Notice I'm keeping things nice and loose. I'm not pulling anything too tight. We've now got 2 loops on the hook again. So yarn over again from behind, twist the hook and through 2. There you go, and that's our first 2 double crochets. I'm going to keep going until I've finished this row. What I like to do is I keep my yarn in between my index finger and my middle finger, and just to bring the yarn over, all you have to do then is raise your index finger. So go, bring it over through 2. Again, make sure everything stays nice and straight at the bottom. Okay, so just checking, that's my last one there. If in doubt, you can always count back along your stitches just to keep track. So it looks almost like a plait. It's kind of hard to tell with this yarn, I'm afraid, but again, just feel your way. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is going to be our last one. So through there, catch the yarn and bring it back, yarn over through 2. Now that reaches the end of our row, but you will find sometimes that the edge of your crochet will go all wavy. We don't want that. The way to get rid of that is just to do one extra chain stitch at the end of the row. Please excuse the noise in the background. So there we go, we're just going to pull that through, just that single one there, and that's just going to stay there. We're going to ignore it, just like we did with our 11th stitch. At the end of each row we just do 1 chain, and we ignore that, and it just gives us a nice smooth edge. So we're going to go back the way we came, so turn your work over. You know where your bottom edge is because it's slightly thinner than the rest, and also you've got your dangly bit from before. So what I'm going to do for my pattern is, I think I'm going to go 2 more blue here, and then I'm going to swap to my other colour, which is this orange here. Go. So let me do these 2 blues first. So we do the first stitch here exactly how we've been doing it before, so you just make sure you're going through both parts of the loop here. See that hole? That's where we want to go through. We want to go through there. So through the hole, catch your yarn, pull it back, yarn over, twist the hook and through 2. Brilliant. The next stitch is slightly different because we're going to be adding another colour. So what we're going to do, pop your crochet hook through the hole, catch your yarn and bring it back, so you've got 2 on your hook. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add in our second colour. The reason we're doing this now, sorry, microphone's tangling up there. The reason we're doing this now is because once we pull this yarn through these 2, it's going to become this top part of the stitch. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So I'm not going to make any knots or anything. All I'm going to do is make a bit of a loop, and instead, where I would normally bring the yarn over, what I'm going to do is just pop that over instead. So that's our new colour. Okay, so I'm going to pull this through these two here. Pull your blue yarn just a little bit tighter there to hold everything in place, and you see this is going to become the top part here. The reason we're swapping it now is because if you don't, you end up with a bit of blue being moved along, and we don't want that. We want to keep our orange sections orange. So we've ended up now, we've got the blue yarn and the end of the orange yarn just dangling about the place, making it all look untidy. We don't want that. Just get rid of the ball there. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that this end here and this blue yarn here are just the top part of the stitch. So I'm just going to hold them as though they're part of the bit we've been working on already. I'm going to just find the next hole along, which is this one here. I'm going to pop my hook through, bring the orange yarn over, make sure you get the long bit and not the short bit, and it helps if you just pinch your bits together there. We don't want those loose tassely bits. So catch your orange yarn, bring it back. So I've got two loops on. I'm going to bring the orange over again and through two, and that is our first orange stitch on our blue bits. So we're going to do the next one. So find your next hole along, hook through, catch your orange, bring it back. Now I have to decide, am I going to go blue next or orange yet next? I think I'm going to go blue next. So we've got our two orange loops on our hook here. We want to swap over to our blue. Now the way to do that neatly is I'm just going to bring the blue, see where it is here, I'm going to bring it towards the back. I'm just going to hold it out the way for a minute. The reason I'm doing this is because when I bring the yarn up, I want to hide as much of this orange at the back as possible. So see that, that's the back of it. So I brought the yarn, blue yarn to the back. I'm just going to give my orange yarn just a little bit of a pull so the loops aren't too loose there. Now bringing the blue towards the back and over the top of the hook. So same way as we've done it before, yarn goes round and we're pulling it through the two stitches. There we go. Now this orange loop here is a bit baggy, so we're just going to find which one it is. I'm just going to give it a little pull. Don't need to pull too much, just enough, just so that it's a little bit tighter on your blue there. So there we go, is our first part of our row. We've got two blue, two orange. Going back to the blue, so as before, just pretend that these orange bits are just part of here. Ignore them, find the next hole, hook through, grab the blue, yarn over, through two. So I can do the next one. Now I think I'm going to swap to orange next because I can. So same as before, we're going to bring your orange down and to the back. So what we're doing is we're kind of twisting it round the blue. Okay, so the blue takes its place along the top here. Pull it a little bit tighter, there we go. So orange over the top, through, pull the blue a little bit tighter, there we go. So if you find you've got a bit showing there of the orange, you can pull it a little bit tighter, which helps hide it a little bit. There we go. So this is the side we've been working on. We've got 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And if we turn it over, you can see the other colours slightly in between, but it's not too bad. Go. So what we're going to do is go back the way we came and start building up our pattern. So you notice once I got to the end, I just did just one single crochet just to finish off that row. So we're ready to turn it round. Make sure you've got it up the right way, and also make sure that your orange is just laid along the top like before. Find your next hole through patch 2. Now you will find if you do longer runs of one colour, so if say I was doing 2 stitches of blue, 6 stitches of orange, 2 stitches of blue, when you get to the end of your run of orange, if you take your blue piece of yarn, the one that's been hidden in through the middle of all of this, and just give it a bit of a pull, so just hold the last bit of blue and just hold your loose bit here, what you'll find is that any sort of bits where it's caught up and it's become a little bit bumpy underneath just get pulled tight, and it helps hide it underneath. Don't need to do it so much when you're just using a couple of stitches at a time, but if you were doing say a bigger section, might be worth you just taking the time to do that. So now what I'm going to do today is kind of a checkerboard effect. So what I'm going to have to do, I'm doing 2 stitches wide and 2 high. So it's time to swap at the end of this row. Let's just get to the end. So I've got to the end, so we're just going to do chain 1. I'm just going to move my orange up so it's inside when I chain. Hopefully that's going to help hide it just a little bit. Go, so turn it over. This next one, actually I'm swapping over, so as I'm swapping over on the end, this is going to be used across the top, so let's just undo that. Okay, so because we're doing the checkerboard effect, we've just got to the end of the row, it's time to do our chain 1 just to finish off. So what I'm going to do is swap from the blue to the orange and just chain 1 out of the orange, pull the blue tight because we don't need to use this loop for anything, turn around, and we're all ready to go now with the orange. So lay your blue across the top so it's get tucked under, and with your orange we're just going to so we're going to chain 1 in orange this time, bring the blue up again and work our way back. Now if you're going to use this technique to do a more complicated pattern, I would definitely recommend having a picture handy of what you're hoping to create. So I've been using this to make a labyrinth style rug, and this is the perfect technique for this for me, because I'm able to swap over colours easily and get the pattern I want without making things too complicated for myself. So I've got one here which I haven't done quite yet, but this is one that I'm planning to do. It looks super complicated. I'm hoping using this technique that it will make it a lot easier. So I will be showing you some pictures of a rug that I have completed of a simpler labyrinth style, which I've done using this same technique. So I'm just going to get to the end of the row, and that should be enough to show you hopefully how to do this. And so you can swap and do any order you want for these stitches, Personally, I find that if you do them too wide, 2 stitches wide, they show up a lot better, especially for things like the labyrinth that I've been crocheting, just because I found with 1 stitch you end up getting sort of moving from side to side almost with the stitch because of the going backwards and forwards the way we are. So yeah, so what you can do there is just double up your pattern. Okay, got to the end, so we're just going to do 1 to finish it off. There we go. So using this technique, you could, if you wanted to, alternate them as you have, or do lines instead if you wanted stripes. You could also use this to bulk up your yarn, because effectively you're using an extra strand of yarn, so just be aware of that as well if you're working out how much yarn you'll need, that it does use a bit extra because you're putting your different colours through. You're using almost twice as much in a way, so just be aware of that when working. It does make things a little bit thicker as well, which is nice if you're making a blanket and you wanted to use slightly thinner yarn, or if you were making a rug and you wanted it a little bit bulkier. So yeah, it's a handy technique